I believe every person has a right to basic knowledge of how to optimize their mind, body, and spirit. Here, I bring to you influential individuals and ideas to help you live a more healthy, fulfilling life. I'm Julie Fouché, and I'd like to welcome you to Pursuing Health. Welcome back to Pursuing Health. This is episode 15 with our guest, Lewis Hough. Lewis is a former two-sport collegiate athlete and professional football player. He suffered a career-ending injury that sent him on a search for a new vision and purpose in his life. After starting several successful online businesses and earning a spot on the US National Handball team, he began his podcast, The School of Greatness. There he interviews world-class individuals from all walks of life, discovering their stories and what has led them to achieve this greatness. His guests have included individuals such as Bryan Clay, Anthony Robbins, and Julianne Hough. He compiles some lessons learned from these individuals in his recently published book, also titled The School of Greatness, a real-world guide to living bigger, loving deeper, and leaving a legacy, which has quickly gained popularity and earned a place on the New York Times Bestseller list. I've been most impressed with the way that Lewis sets an incredibly clear vision and goals for himself, and he goes after them with complete belief and conviction. I think you'll hear about some of these throughout our conversation. We talk about some of the adversity that Lewis overcomes, how he started his podcast, and the inspiration for his current book. You'll want to listen all the way to the end of this episode because there we get into some specifics about goal setting and vision planning. If you're enjoying the podcast, please head over to iTunes to subscribe and give it a rating. And you can also head to my website, juliefouché.com, where you can subscribe to my newsletter, which comes out every 2 weeks and will help you stay in the loop with the podcast and everything else that I'm up to. If you're interested in training with me, check out my program through Beyond the Whiteboard. You can find it at beyondthewhiteboard.com/juliefouché. This is the actual programming that I'm doing now, 5 days per week, 1 hour per day, completely scheduled out for you minute by minute from warm up to cool down. Again, you can find out more about this at beyondthewhiteboard.com/juliefouché or by listening to my podcast episode 12. So, without any further ado, let's get started with episode 15 of Pursuing Health with Lewis Hough. Welcome to Pursuing Health. I'm super excited to be here with Lewis Hough, and we are actually in Town Hall, which is my favorite restaurant in Cleveland. Did you know it's actually one of the first 100% non-GMO restaurants in the country?
But this juice is incredible.
I know. It's very good.
I'm enjoying it.
So we're happy to be here. And
this is the first 100% non-GMO place in the country.
One of the first. I think it was the third, maybe.
There's probably a bunch of them now, right?
I'm not sure how many there are now.
Okay.
It was recent, though, within the last year.
Wow.
That they achieved that. So very exciting. And welcome to Cleveland.
Thank you. Yes. Love Ohio.
Yeah. So you're originally from Ohio?
From Delaware, Ohio, which is near Columbus.
Near Columbus. Okay.
And then I lived in Columbus for a long time, and now I come back maybe once or twice a year for the holidays, but.
Okay. Well, Ohio's growing on me. I'm from Michigan, so I'm still not very comfortable with your shirt right now.
I'm wearing it with pride.
But I love Cleveland.
Yeah.
I really enjoy it here. So I'm glad you're here. You're here for a event for your book.
Book signing tonight. Yeah, book party signing.
Very
exciting. I'm on tour right now. We hit top 10 in the world on Amazon a couple days ago. So it's been amazing. And do you have a book out yet?
No.
Are you thinking about it?
Someday I would love to write a book.
You should do a book.
I would love to write a book.
It's an incredible experience, and I'm happy to share with you everything that happens and how to do it when you get ready. But it's just so intense, and I've never worked so hard for something in my life. And
wow.
I've trained.
You've done a lot of things.
I've trained at a high level as a football athlete and professional football, decathlete All-American, and I play with the USA team handball team. And I'm more exhausted than anything I've ever done. Boot camp, 3 a days, no, this is it.
All right. Well, now I'm not really that excited about the idea, but
but I'm also going all in. I'm like,
right.
This is my Olympics. And this is like the championship week, so I've been building for this for years. And so it's like it's the CrossFit Games time.
Here,
you know, it's like you go every ounce of energy to get that, you know, that placing. So
absolutely. Well, congratulations. It's an exciting time for sure.
Thank you. And how are you? How's your recovery?
I'm good. I would say 90% recovered now.
That's
the only thing I'm not doing is going for long runs or jumping a lot.
Does it feel like really sore if you do that?
It still feels sore sometimes.
What was it, in your leg, or what was it?
My Achilles, yep.
That's like the worst, right?
Yeah, it wasn't the best. But I had a pretty good rehab course. I had great physical therapists.
Sure.
Got right back into CrossFit, so
plus you're just a mutant, so you can just recover like a machine, right?
Well, I think being in such good shape helped a lot.
And then were you working out during this, like upper body stuff, and just
absolutely?
And that really helps muscle flow and helps, or I mean not muscle flow, but like blood flow and build the muscle back and everything around it, right?
Yeah,
that's great.
It's been good.
Congratulations. Good to see you healthy.
Thank you.
With no cast or no boot on.
Yeah. So it's been good, and I'm enjoying kind of the transition from competing back into med school, and been busy with that. So
yeah. So what's the goal with competing? Good. Sorry, I'm like interviewing you, but I'm so interested. What's the goal with competing now? Are you trying to get back into the games? Are you trying to?
No, I really have to finish school, and at this point, it's 5 years ago, 7 years ago, you could train a couple hours a day and make it to the games. Now it has to be a full-time job.
Yeah.
So I'm all in on school. I have 2 years left at med school and then residency after that. So not planning to compete anytime in the near future.
Residency is next level.
Yeah.
Good luck.
It'll be a while.
That's cool.
Thank you. But I'm not sure if a lot of my listeners know a lot of your background. So I was hoping we could maybe go back and kind of talk about how you got to this point and what has built you along the way to write this book.
Interesting. Well, I used to play arena football. That was my whole dream. All I cared about was playing sports.
Okay.
And my sister, who's actually over here, after I got done playing arena football, I got injured. I broke my wrist right here. So they did a bone graft from my hip to my wrist. As a doctor, you might know something about that. So I was in a cast for 6 months like this, from here to here. And I couldn't turn it this way. And I couldn't straighten it, but I could do this. So that's all I could do. I could like move it around like this.
That is a
6 months.
Long time. Yeah.
It was. I thought I was like, okay, 6 weeks. I'm gonna get the cast off and be able to go play again. That was not the case. So during that time, my sister let me crash on her couch. She was like, okay, crash here for a couple months. It turned into a year and a half because I was after 6 months, and I couldn't straighten my arm fully for another year until I could fully extend it without, a lot of pain. So it was stressful because I didn't have any money. I didn't have a job. I hadn't graduated college yet, and it wasn't like I was great in college because all I cared about was sports. So it wasn't like my focus to be like this whiz kid or something.
Right.
And there was no backup plan for me.
Okay.
So this year and a half was really a discovery of first like kind of depression, like acceptance that I wasn't going to be able to play in my dream again. Then discovering, okay, what am I going to do for the rest of my life? What's my gift? What's my talent? What can I create? How can I make an income? Do I want to work for someone? Do I want to create my own thing? If I create my own thing, who would pay me any money for what I'm doing? I don't even know what I could do. And so it was this like process of discovery, and I found some great mentors early on who guided me into challenging me in doing certain things. So one of them was like, why don't you join Toastmasters and really hone in on your public speaking skills, because I was so terrified to speak in public. So for a year, every single week, I went to Toastmasters like it was a sport and trained to be able to learn how to speak.
That is awesome.
And every night I would prepare my speeches, write them out. I would practice them by myself, and then I would go deliver them in front of a small group of people, once every couple of weeks. And every mentor I had would challenge me with something new. Learning about online marketing, about social media, about branding, about design, about, networking, things like that. So I would find these mentors. I would be like, tell me how to do it. What should I do? Give me a challenge. Because as an athlete, I need to be challenged.
Right. And where did you find most of your mentors? Were they coaches?
They were local. Most of them were local in Columbus, Ohio at the time. Just like local leaders that I was like going out and inspired by. I was doing a lot on LinkedIn early on. Do you know LinkedIn.com?
Yeah.
So I was spending about 6 hours a day on there because I had all this free time on my hand. And I was reaching out to people one by one who looked like leaders in Columbus, Ohio, and then also in the industries, different industries around the world. And just would email them and say, I'd love to learn about how you got to where you are. I'd love to learn about your success. And that would open up the conversation for me to meet with them or to talk to them on the phone. And then I would learn through them just sharing how they did it. I was like, okay, that's how they did it. Let me try to do it that way.
Wow.
And I would just take a lot of action, made a ton of mistakes. And, finally a few years later, I was able to figure it out and make some money. And then I've just been building on that. And it's been an incredible journey.
Wow. And really putting yourself out there. I think that's
100%.
The first step. People don't realize to just take that first step.
100%. I've never been afraid to put myself out there and fail. And I think a lot of people are afraid of how they're going to look.
Right.
They're afraid to look bad or mess up or look silly. And I'm just like, I could care less. And I think it was also good that I had nothing to lose. I was already like a loser on my sister's couch, literally with no money. I was a bum with a broken wrist. And I didn't have a college degree. So I was like, I can't go anywhere worse, right? There's nowhere else I could go. So I'm going to do this thing and put give my best and see what I can create. And I've had that attitude ever since. And that's been a big key.
Wow. And then you started your podcast about
almost 3 years ago.
3 years ago.
End of January, 3 years ago. Yeah.
Okay. And tell us about how that came about.
Yeah. Well, like all great stories with any guy, it starts with a girl.
Okay.
Of course. I had moved to New York City in 2010 from Columbus, Ohio.
Okay.
To pursue a different dream.
Okay.
A dream of playing on the Olympics. Because as a kid, I always wanted to play in the Olympics. And so I saw this sport in 2008 during the Olympics on TV called team handball. Which you probably never heard of it or seen it, but it's essentially water polo on a basketball court without water.
Sounds like
so you're
much better than water polo.
It's much better. So it's very physical. It's very fast-paced, but you're essentially playing soccer with your hands, and you're throwing it into a net behind a goalie. It's huge in Europe, pretty much unknown in the U.S. So I saw this on TV at 3 a.m. because they don't play it in prime time. And I was like, I'm going to go to the Olympics for this sport. I just declared it in that moment when I saw it.
Putting yourself out there
I was
again.
I was like, whatever it takes. I researched online to see if there was teams in the United States or how I could join. And there's only club teams in the U.S.
Okay.
So there was no club team in Ohio at the time. And I saw that the national champion club team was from New York. So I said, okay, when I make enough money, I'm going to move to New York, and I'm going to make this club team, make the USA national team, and we're going to go to the Olympics. I declared it. I declared it. My sister was there. And about 2 years later, this was 2008, so in 2010, I finally was making enough money where I was like, okay, I got my own apartment finally. I left my sister's couch, got my own apartment. And then I said, okay, now's the time. I've saved enough money. I'm going to New York City to give this a shot.
Okay.
So I moved to New York City, and I show up to the practice, and I say, hey, guys, my name's Lewis. I'm from Ohio, and I want to make the USA national team and go to the Olympics. And they all laughed at me. I was the only American there.
Oh, wow.
It's all European and Eastern European guys that had moved to New York City that now play the game. And I trained my butt off for 9 months with this team. And 9 months later, I got the call to be with the USA national team and go play in the Pan American Championships down in Argentina this time. And it was one of the craziest experiences of my life. Are you on the USA team for the CrossFit?
No. So there's every year there's an invitational.
Yeah.
So I was on Team USA 2012 and then last year 2014. But you have to compete in the games the year before.
Was it pretty amazing?
It was amazing.
It's unbelievable, right?
So amazing to be
wear
on a team
USA
and to
across your
represent
chest.
your country. Yes.
It's the greatest feeling in the world for me. It was literally, it was so cool to see that as a kid you can actually fulfill a dream that you have 20 years prior.
That's amazing.
So for me, sorry, I just got in the moment there. For me, I moved to New York. I make this team, and then within a year and a half of moving to New York, I meet a girl.
Okay.
And this girl, man, I fell hard.
Okay.
I fell in love, right?
Of course.
And this girl was not in New York. She had just moved to L.A. So about 4 or 5 months into the relationship, she says, you know what, I want you in L.A. And I was like, I'm loving New York, and I can come back and forth anytime. I've got a flexible business. I can do whatever I want. She was like, no, I don't want to do long distance anymore. I've been doing that too much in my last relationships. I want to be in a relationship with someone in the same city. And I was like, but I can move, She pretty much put me in a corner. And I was so much in love that I was like, all right, I'll come.
You'll do anything.
I'll come. And probably one of the worst mistakes in my life, but also one of the best lessons.
There's always something good.
That was incredible came from it. So I moved there. The day I moved, she breaks up with me.
Oh, my gosh.
And then it was like this back and forth, like dramatic breakup for the next few months where it was like, okay, no, yes, no.
Right.
And I was so angry and frustrated, and I was mad to be in L.A. Because I loved New York City. Eventually got rid of the relationship, like ended it, moved on, and I was like, okay, I'm going to stick around in L.A. I had a business that was doing really well. I was making 7 figures a year in this company. I ended up selling the company because I wasn't really feeling it anymore with my business partner. We just had different visions.
Okay.
So I ended up selling to him. And so I had no girlfriend anymore. I was in a new city. I had sold my company. And I was essentially like, okay, what am I going to do now for the rest of my life? I was 29.
Okay.
And I was in a new space. I had to create a new identity. It was kind of like, 5 years previous where I lost my identity playing football. It's kind of like, okay, what am I doing? I'm in a new city. And I was driving in L.A. traffic, mad that I was there, frustrated. I was stopping traffic. Have you been to L.A. traffic
LA
before?
traffic is the
worst, right? So I was there, and I'm like,
I could never live there.
I'm going 1 mile, and it takes 40 minutes. And I'm like, this is so annoying. I was like, there's got to be – I was like, what do these people do when they're stuck in traffic all day? Like, what do you do? And I was like, there's got to be a way to get in front of people that are – upset and angry and miserable like that I am right now.
Right.
And how could I inspire them and shift their mindset in this moment as opposed to them being pissed about this and actually have an enjoyable experience? So I said, you know what? This was in 2012. Yeah, 2012. Like probably mid-2012. A couple of my buddies were doing podcasts already and were making a lot of money from it. And it was kind of coming back in 2012. So I said, I reached out to them and asked them about it, and they were like, it's the biggest converter for me for traffic to my website. It's like the most engaged members of my audience. People recognize me from it, and they come up to me and tell me everything about my podcast. It's like they know me because of the podcast. Yeah. And I said, really? I was like, if these guys could do it, I think I could do this.
Sure, why not?
And I was thinking about doing a YouTube show because a friend of mine, Marie Forleo, was building a big YouTube show, and I was like, the podcast could be easier because it's not as much production, and it's like, we're just sitting here with the headsets. And so I launched this thing. I was like, okay, I'm going to launch this thing. What's it going to be? And I was brainstorming, and I was like, I don't want it to be about just business because that's what a lot of people were asking me about at the time. It's like marketing and business. And I don't want it to be about entrepreneurship or any of those topics. I really want to talk about something broader about greatness. And I want to talk about, why learning is so important. I struggled in school my entire life to learn and to remember things and to pick up. I couldn't really read that well. So for me, school was extremely challenging. Like doing what you're doing now terrifies me. Like I don't know how you do it.
Terrifies me some days too.
It's amazing how you're doing it. It's like my worst nightmare. But learning and growing, like learning the lessons from sports, learning how to be a better human, learning how to connect with people, learning how to, and, enroll people and influence people in your vision and your dream to get them excited about what you're creating. To find the right coaches and mentors, all these things, it's important to be successful in life. And I said, I want to create a new school, a school of greatness, a school where it's the lessons we really need to learn to get to the next steps in our life. And I want to interview people from, who are doctors, who are scientists, who are astronauts, who are spiritual leaders, New York Times bestselling authors, athletes at the top of their game to learn about what these lessons are we should all be learning. And that's how the podcast began. That was a very long story to tell you about how I started my podcast.
No, but that's great. It's great to know the whole backstory. And I find, too, the things you can learn in school, you can learn a lot in school and, be very book smart. But some of the most important lessons I've learned have come from sports. And have come from those real-life experiences, the relationships that you make.
Absolutely. And you were a gymnast, too, right?
I was growing up, through high school, Yeah. So, that's where most of my biggest life lessons have come from.
That's great. So, I mean, I feel like it is for a lot of athletes, too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you never face really more adversity as often as you do in sports.
Right.
Like every practice and every game, there's an opportunity to create some challenge and adversity. Daily life doesn't have that unless there's a death in the family or a divorce with your parents or a breakup in a relationship. That happens less frequently. It happens once every 5 years or something where something's traumatic or drastic changes or there's a challenge. But every day in sports, there's tension. Your body is pushed to the limit. Your mind is challenged. You have to overcome some obstacle constantly. So it's the best playing ground to learn.
I agree. I think it's like the fast track
exactly.
to learn all of those important life lessons.
And CrossFit's probably, I did CrossFit for 4 years. I haven't done it that much in the last year and a half. I was kind of like needing a different thing to get my mind on.
Are you still playing handball much? Or?
I haven't played in about 7 months.
Okay.
We didn't qualify for the Olympics this year.
Okay.
So we didn't qualify 4 years ago. We didn't qualify this year. They only take one country from North and South America.
Oh, wow.
And it's just it's a lot of work to like train for something where you're not going to qualify. And I'm like, do I want to train for the next 4.5 years now for the chance of maybe like it's a lot. And so
yeah, we think training for CrossFit is hard once every year, but for an Olympic sport,
you got to wait 4 years.
Yeah.
And when there's no guarantees of even qualifying, it's like if the Olympics were in the US in 4 years, I would be training every day full time because it's an automatic qualifier.
Oh, okay.
And as long as I'm on the team, I will be an Olympian.
Okay.
But we don't have the Olympics for maybe another 10, 15 years, you know, until we get it again.
Yeah.
So.
Anyway, so you were doing CrossFit a little bit,
yes.
but.
Yes, I did it for 4 years. You know, Graham Holmberg was training me, and I was in New York and L.A. I was working out at the Brick CrossFit in L.A. and then the box in New York.
Okay.
And I love CrossFit.
Cool. So you over the past 3 years, you've interviewed tons of incredible, great people.
Yeah.
And now you're kind of combining all those lessons and those things that you've learned and things that you've found in common among those people in your book, right?
Yes. 8 principles that I discovered. That I saw these 8 themes that everyone was accessing and applying in their field, whatever it may be, to get to that top percent that they're in.
Top level. So I want to ask a little bit about how all these interviews have impacted you in your life personally. So are there anything, I don't know if any of these 8 principles that you maybe have started to incorporate, or, you know, maybe there's a specific person that you remember?
Sure. I mean, here's the thing. For anyone that does listen to my podcast, I typically bring people on where I need work most in my life in that moment. So when I have like multiple relationship experts on, it's because I'm struggling with, my emotions with relationships, or I'm going, I went through a breakup, and it's like I've been really struggling with it. Like a lot of questions I'm asking myself, and like, what's wrong with me, or what do I need to learn still, or who do I need to become to be able to create like the best relationship I can have. It lifts me up to my highest and lifts her up to her highest. And, and when I have all these health experts on, it's because like, okay, how can I really get back on track? Maybe I haven't been taking care of my sleep. So I get the number one sleep expert in the world to talk about how do I maximize my sleep and the importance of it, and learning about it. And this week I've definitely been not sleeping that much at all because I've been so excited.
Right.
And I cannot shut down at night. And I'm meeting so many people, and I'm like, I just cannot shut down. So,
so maybe we'll hear from a sleep expert
exactly
in the
soon.
next couple of weeks.
Exactly. Yes. So for me, every person has taught me something, but these 8 principles have been really beneficial for me to like learn and rediscover. And here's the thing: pretty much everything I've learned, I've heard or known about before. It's not like I'm learning something new. It's like I'm learning how to maximize something I've already done that I haven't applied in my life.
Okay.
I'm always looking to just really make sure I'm doing the right things in life, and really make sure that I'm serving at the highest level that I can in everything I can do. And in a lot of ways, that means serving myself to make sure that I go after everything I want, because I believe we were born to go after what we want, and then also make an impact on the maximum number of people around us. So I'm always seeking out, I do the podcast for selfish reasons, for myself to learn how I can access becoming the best human being I can be on every level. And then I want to make the biggest impact in the world by sharing that information.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. And I think service is one of your areas of the areas, right? Or the focus areas of greatness.
The last principle is live a life of service.
Okay.
Yes.
And I heard you say that for you, that was kind of a shift that you made, maybe at that point where you were living on your sister's couch, where you started, and I think a lot of people reach some point in their life where they make that shift of why am I doing what I'm doing? Who am I helping?
Yes.
And that's something that I myself went through too, probably a year or 2 into competing in CrossFit, which I always have wanted to help people, and I was applying to med school, but it was, I think maybe after this first or second year, I competed at the games, and then it was probably a time of a lot of adversity. My first year of med school, I was trying to train and do med school at the same time, and that sort of stress made me stop and question, why am I doing this? I wasn't enjoying it anymore.
What's the point if it's not fun?
Right. And it was like I had been doing it because I had been good at it. And so, of course, I'm going to keep going. Of course, I'm going to do it another year. And I never stopped to really ask myself why. And it really came down to the fact that I wanted to inspire other people and use the gifts that I had and fully maximize those, and then use those to inspire other people to maybe change their lives or make them healthier too. And just switching that mindset made such a difference and really propelled me through the next several years of training.
Yeah, that's cool.
So,
that's awesome.
So when I heard you talk about that one, I totally could see it in my own life. I could see pretty much all of them, especially through CrossFit and some of those challenging times too.
Sure. That's awesome. How long have you been listening to the podcast, or how did you discover me in the first place?
Oh, I'm not sure. Maybe it was through some of the barbell shred guys.
Cool, yeah.
Maybe I just ran into an episode. I'm not sure where.
Sure, gotcha. You listen to podcasts yourself?
I do enjoy it. Yes. I don't listen as much as I would like, but
you're studying all day long.
Yeah, they're great in the car though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to be driving a lot. Like for 1 year, I was driving back every week to Michigan to train. And so that would
Michigan?
Be Ann Arbor. So it would be like a 3-hour drive from here. So I listen to a lot of audiobooks and podcasts.
Cool. Very cool.
Yeah. But yes, I definitely enjoy yours as well.
Thank you. Is there one that stands out to you on mine that you like the most?
I'm trying to think.
I
actually really liked the one with Sally Hogshead.
Really?
Yeah, I went on and did her little online assessment.
Fascinate test.
Very cool.
That is cool.
I love stuff like that. I actually just recently did this program here with 2 people in Cleveland, where it's like a 2-day basically intensive course with 2 other people and me, and we try to identify who your authentic self is and describe it in 3 words.
What's your authentic self in 3 words?
So mine ended up being, it doesn't really make sense to other people unless you go through the whole reflection thought process, but mine were measured, heart, and spark. So they all kind of work together. But for me, measured is like I really like to think things out, plan things out ahead of time. I'm very deliberate. Heart just kind of covers the emotional side. Like I'm very empathic. I like connecting with people.
I see that about you.
And then spark is kind of that trying to inspire people or trying to really be at my best, whether it's CrossFit or school or anything else that I'm doing.
That's cool.
So it was an amazing experience. But I love doing that sort of thing where you're really looking at who you are and trying to embrace, like you say, embrace your inner greatness, not try to be somebody else, not try to pretend like you're something you're not, but figure out who you are and then try to maximize that. So that's
great.
Yeah, so very cool. So I want to finish up with 3 questions I ask everyone.
Yeah.
So my first question is 3 things that you do on a daily basis. You have to really do them in real life that you think have the biggest positive impact on your health.
Absolutely. One is gratitude. Every single day I'm expressing gratitude when I wake up. When I go to bed, in my last relationship, every night before I go to bed with my ex-girlfriend, I would ask her, what are the 3 things you're most grateful for? I think evoking it out of other people is really good for your health. Absolutely. Because you're making an impact on someone and their health. And then I always finish with what I'm most grateful for, the 3 things. So that's throughout my entire day. I'm expressing gratitude for my health, the people around me, my experiences, my business, my team. I'm just expressing it. My answering machine on my phone is, before you leave me a message, tell me what you're most grateful for.
Oh, that's cool.
Because I want people to be constantly in that experience because I feel like that's going to affect your emotional, mental, and physical health.
Absolutely. Was that something you had to work at to get in the habit? Because I find that I'll remember to think about it from time to time, but I'm not. It's
a ritual. So it's something in the morning that it's part of my morning ritual, and then it's a nighttime ritual as well. It's just part of it. So if you have those habits that you're constantly doing in the morning when you're working out, just be like, okay, when am I gonna fit this in? Like, when's it gonna be? Right when I wake up. So 3 things towards your health. Is that what you said?
Yes.
The second thing I would say is sleep. I mean, sleep is probably the number 1, obviously, but with everything, helping me recover. So I mean, you know more about this than me, but helping me recover.
How much sleep do you normally get? Not during this week.
It depends. In the last 6 months, though, I've been getting about 8 hours. I think it's really good for me, about 8 hours. I go to bed at like 11, and I get up at like 7.
That's great.
And for me, that's pretty solid. So sleep is big. And then I would say number 3, every day I do a green juice and a smoothie. And I think that for me, it puts me in a mindset of like I'm just cleansing my body. I know that I'm getting good nutrients in my body with a green juice and a smoothie. And so even if I don't eat that well the rest of the day, it's like at least I've started with something healthy and kick-started it. I don't really drink coffee or anything like that. So my vice is sweets, though. I love like sweets and cake and sugar. And
yeah, it's hard. Once you stop, it's hard.
Once you start, it's hard to stop. I can just like I can go all day. I don't like drink alcohol. I don't drink pop. I don't drink do anything bad except for sugar, which is probably the worst drug. Right. So those would be the 3 things. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that might be the answer to the next question, but
let's hear it.
One thing that would be really good for your health, maybe something you've heard one of your guests talk about, but you just have a hard time implementing it into your life.
Cutting out all sugar.
Yeah.
I mean, when I got to like 254, and when I moved to New York City, I was just eating candy left and right. Like every time I went outside, it was like there's so much delicious foods around. I was like, oh, just give it to me. And I was from 225 to 254, and I was just like, this is unacceptable. I looked at myself in the mirror. I remember my underwear like folded over, and I was like, this is not acceptable. And so I just decided in that moment, I was like, I am addicted to sugar right now, and I need to cut this out.
Yeah, it's the first step.
So for 30 days, I went no sugar, and I went no gluten. I was like 90% gluten-free. But no sugar. And
did you follow a certain plan?
No,
or
I was just like, I'm going to cut this out,
okay.
like cold turkey, like no sugar. Everything was unsweetened almond milk. It was like I would have about a banana a day, so there was some sugar involved, but no candy, sweets, or any artificial sugars. And I lost 28 pounds in the 30 days. And
That's
I was
incredible.
like, and I didn't do anything different when I workouts.
Right.
I was working out still when I was gaining the weight. I was just like, man, I'm just gaining so much.
Sugar is a powerful drug.
So dropped 28 pounds in 30 days.
Wow.
And it was a game changer. And so I did it for another month. And then I was like, okay, I have this under control now, and I could have some every now and then. So I would completely cut it out if I really wanted to. But I like to enjoy life a little too.
Right.
So.
All right. It's hard to find the right balance.
Yes.
Definitely. All right. Last question is, what does a healthy life look like to you?
Man, a healthy life looks like pursuing and living my dreams. I believe that we were born to live our dreams. And when we're not on the pursuit of them, it doesn't mean we have to have them right now, but if we're not in the pursuit of them, I believe we're living a slow death. It's like, what are we living for if we're not chasing the thing that our heart speaks to the most? Just to make someone else happy, or just to make our parents happy for doing something, just to make our spouse happy. Like, that is the most unhealthy, selfish thing that you can do, is to not go after your dreams, in my opinion. I may be wrong, but that's how I feel.
No, I think that's fantastic. That's a great definition. And it is. It's all, like you say, I like how you said it's about the journey. It's about the process.
It's about the process. Not being arriving right now, but like on the pursuit of getting to what you want and experiencing that pursuit of your dreams. For me, that's what it's all about.
Right. Right. That's the exciting part. The harder part is once that's over, once you've achieved it or you haven't, and you have to think of something new to do.
What?
Then you're lost. Then you're back on your sister's couch.
That's why I talk about the seasons of life. You know, we're always in a different season. And, right now I'm in like the championship game, like playoffs, Olympics. And once this is over, I'll be in an off season, and I'll be in a reevaluation phase to see, okay, what's my next vision? What's my next dream? What I want to create next? And then I get to have some time to relax and recover, and then create a new vision.
I like that. And how do you go about that? How do you...
I have a chapter in my book on how to create a powerful vision, which is the first chapter. At the end of it, I have a number of exercises that I developed that I've used since high school sports, college sports, in my business. And it really is designed to help you get clear on exactly what you want. I think a lot of us at times don't know what we want, and that's what holds us back. If we're indecisive.
Absolutely.
And so we're just reacting to what we're given in day to day. We're reacting to we're not happy because we're not creating what we want. We're pissed off. We're this or that. We want more money. We don't know what we want. So when we get clear on it, it doesn't have to be like this vision for our life.
Right.
But like, what do you want now? What do you want in the next 6 months, the next year? Like, let's work towards something that's inspiring, that's inspiring to you, inspiring to people around you. And that's meaningful, fulfilling for you.
Right.
So I have those exercises to do that.
Now, how far out? This is just another question I'm curious about. How far out do you plan? Do you go like 5 years, 10 years?
I do. It depends. I usually have a 6-month goal. I call it a certificate of achievement.
Okay.
A 6-month certificate of achievement
So why don't you call it a
12-month certificate of achievement. So the reason I call it that is I did this back in high school, and then I applied it to business. I wrote down like the goals I wanted in football, and because there was award ceremonies every season. So I was like, okay, I'm going to create my own certificate of achievement of what I want to create in 4 months from now when the season's complete. And I would write it down like MVP of the league or whatever it may be. And so I do that now. I wrote down, I created a nice thing. If you go in my book at the end of the first chapter, you can get this certificate downloaded for free.
Cool.
It's print off. It's a beautiful looking certificate. Yeah. And you fill it out with the vision that you want to create in the next 6 months as if you've already achieved it.
Okay.
And then you put the date of when you're going to achieve it by.
I love that.
And you sign it as if you're awarding it to yourself because you're the one who's going to create the achievement.
I love that.
So, and then what I do is I frame it and put it on my wall.
Okay.
I put it on my wall, by my bed, by my mirror in the bathroom, and I'm looking at it constantly. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, what's the action I need to take today to get closer to making this happen on that date? And a lot of people aren't specific with their dreams.
Right.
And I ask them to get so specific with the number you want to make in business, how much you want to make, with the relationship you want to have, with your health, the specific weight and body percentage, everything you have. Be so specific, and then write that down with the date it's going to happen by. If you're just vague, I want to lose 10 pounds or whatever, by when? Tell me by when is this going to happen? We don't live in enough urgency, and that's what this is all about.
That's very true. I found that to be true in my own life as well. So
you don't have urgency?
No, just having to have very specific goals. Oh, yeah,
specific.
And having that sort of that laser focus just on what you're trying to accomplish next. And not trying to set too many goals at once, because you have to be realistic and you have to be focused on one or two things.
That's why I have like a vision for like a year, for like what I want to create this year. I'll have a vision for the next few years of kind of like a bigger dreams that I'm working towards. But really 6 to 12 months is what I focus my energy in, because it becomes too daunting if it's 2 years, 3 years, 4 years away. It's like there's no reward quick enough, and we need to be rewarded on a quicker basis for us to feel motivated and inspired to keep going.
Feeling like we're making progress.
That's why the Olympics is like
4 years.
It's like you get no reward for 4 years, and then when you don't get it, it's like people's lives are over.
It's incredible.
Unless you go to like the national championships every year and the world championships every 2 years, something like that. But at least CrossFit Games you have every year to train for. There's the regionals, there's the open, there's everything. So
very true. Yeah. Very true. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sitting down with me.
Yeah, of course.
And
for having me.
Congratulations again on your book.
Thank you.
Have fun tonight in Cleveland.
Thank you. Yeah. You got a copy? I gave it to you.
I do. I must have set it down somewhere, but I'm looking forward to reading it.
Awesome.
And yeah, thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you all so much for tuning into this episode with Lewis Hough. To find out more about him, you can visit his website, lewishowes.com, LEWISHOWES.com, or you can check out his podcast, The School of Greatness, or his book by that same name. To make sure you never miss an episode in the future and to receive exclusive content from me, head to my website, juliefouché.com, and subscribe to my email list. Also, if you like what you hear, don't forget you can head over to iTunes where you can subscribe to Pursuing Health and give it a rating. I always love to hear your feedback, so please leave comments under this post on my website, and also share your thoughts on social media. You can use the hashtag JFHealth with any feedback or questions or ideas for future episodes. Thank you again so much for listening, and I'll catch you next time on Pursuing Health.